Okay, there, strangers. It's time for another 2 p.m. PST Twitch stream. I'm your host, Strange Road Jim, and today we're going to be doing some Pega, some. Oh wait, gosh, my go live notification is off. No. Uh, some Pega, some chatting, and some World of Warships later. Um, because the um, um, one of the criticisms that I got was the fact that, sure, I might have been playing a little bit during the week on World of Warships. Um, I wasn't really helping out the clan during the weekends when um, we had some naval battles. But that's neither here nor there. You're here for the Pega, um, if you especially if you're watching this on YouTube. Okay, so um, today, yesterday we covered all the different workspaces. They had the overviews that we went over, for App Studio, Dev Studio, Production Studio, and Admin Studio. There's a lot there, and it took a while. Um, but we covered it all, so that will be um, available for anybody, or you know, hopefully you're still kind of watching this on YouTube, if anything. For those of you that are following me here on Twitch, um, all I'm trying to go step by step through the system architect mission and um, going through all um, the topics. We're going to be going one by one through them and discussing them and going over them. So hopefully you'll join me on this. Um, Officially, it's 2:15 p.m. to 2:18 p.m. So I'm actually running late. So this might be a shorter stream overall, but the we're going to be kind of just focused on doing the low code defined App Studio topic and taking the module quiz. I suspect that that's all we're going to be able to cover today. Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and get this to live. There we go. Okay, so we're able to see the page. Thank you there on that one. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be focusing on doing the App Studio here and then the module quiz afterwards. So let's go right into this and start this up here. So the App Studio. The App Studio provides core features for application development such as case design, data management, and user experience. App Studio is designed for low-code users. Typical users include application developers, front-end developers, data engineers, business analysts, and system architects. Use App Studio to get your applications operating quickly. So, um, as they stated here, they're trying to have the App Studio just useful for the low-code users, citizen developers, so on and so forth. Just your um, it's meant for like, hey, you bring someone off the street, you give them this App Studio, and obviously they might have maybe a little bit of hard time trying to understand it all overall, trying to figure out how to go about doing things. But I mean, with a short amount of, you know, time training someone, they should be able to build like a functional application, you know, um, bank application, you know, um, common scenarios, resume, submission and so on and so forth. So that's all kind of, they're trying to do that for the App Studio. So the App Studio workspace. The workspace helps you visualize the key factors of the desired business process. As you outline the process, you build relationships between stages of the process, participating, participating personas, communication channels, and data required for process resolution. The visual model built in App Studio helps you plan and manage your development team's workload. Um, so once again, they're showing the life cycle of the case types here. So that's one of the things that they want you to kind of use for any kind of application that you build. Um, my experience on the job has been different than that. We haven't been, we weren't building something like this because it was already built. Um, and so we were working on expanding features. So, so really there wasn't that much more in the case life cycle, when I worked the job. So yeah. Um, as a best practice, technical team members such as system architects build applications in App Studio to reduce potential errors. Only switch to Dev Studio when configuring advanced features that are unavailable in App Studio, such as integration services and database class mappings. Check your knowledge with the following interaction. App Studio is a low-code development workspace for citizen developers and system architects alike. That's true. Um, Once again, if I had selected false, they would, give a description as to why. So, App Studio is designed for low-code users. Typical users include application developers, front-end developers, data engineers, and business analysts. They've been kind of drumming that in over and over and again, but I mean, let's face it, you're gonna need to remember this, later. Like, if they reword the question a little bit and they basically say, what studio is best for front-end users or front-end developers, you're going to want to be able to pick App Studio, from that list of four. So, support for agile development. Now, um, agile development is, a key term in programming. Um, there's Well, let me try to explain this a little bit before we kind of move on to this, because I don't know if they're really going to be explaining agile development here. Um, uh, when programming was like first being, done, like, for the very first computers and the like, um, agile was not even a concept. It wasn't really thought of. Because the process of actually getting, the language created to build the program was a fairly long and involved process in some cases. Um, like, if I remember correctly, the um, very first like computer language really were like, you know, like punch cards, with like the data on them. So they basically put it into the computer so that the computer would understand what um, they were trying to go for, zeros and ones. Um, so you can imagine that, hey, it might take a long time to, change those. So, um, so they basically came up with the what we call the waterfall method, which is um, the the um, the development process from concept to product was a series of steps, series of uh, processes to figure out, what they want to build, how they want to build it, um, what goes into it, you know, develop it completely, and then try to fix anything afterwards, or um, what um, was kind of left over it. Here, let me go to webcam and let me bring up. Um, Let me bring up Wikipedia here. Oh well, okay. They're really not showing a good like visual representation of it on here. Let me see if I can find. Okay, we'll use this one. Um, okay, so um, the waterfall development methodology. Um, you know, so the first thing that they try to do is they try to handle all the requirements. What are they, what do they need? What are they trying to make? What are they trying to build? Um, what's all required in that build? Like, do they need a database? Do they need a, front end? Do they need, um, how much user interface do they need? So on and so forth. It's, you know, what, you know, where are they going to be getting their information? I mean, they have to like figure out everything in, or they have to figure out, what do they want out of this program? All in requirements. Okay. Once they once they figure all that out, once they figure out like, okay, we're going to be needing this and we're going to be needing that, then they move on to the design, and then they start designing, that program. They start building the structure of it, where the, like where the user interface is, how they want the, front end, you know, where their back end is going to be coming in, so on and so forth. They're really trying to, get, they're going to try to like map out, all the steps, to get from, you know, uh, like if they're trying to do, um, like a college application or something along those lines. They're like, okay, we want them to, put in their information. This information gets stored in a database, then it gets reviewed by the college board, and then, they determine is it, you know, um, are they accepted or rejected, kind of thing. And then they have to kind of figure out, okay, well, where do we need to put all, everything that we need to do in this program. Okay. Um, so that's where, the, design is, handled. Okay. They're really, figuring out, you know, where the input is coming in, where, the outputs, all that. It's all going to be in design. Now, if at any point they look at their design and go, "Oh, we're missing something." You know, we missed something in the requirements, or hey, we overlooked something. We're gonna have to um, we're gonna have to put a new requirement in. With waterfall, they would have to scrap this entire thing. They would have to scrap this entire approach and then go right back up to the requirements again. Okay, that's what traditional waterfall is all about. You know, same thing. You know, with if they had like if they were in implementation or verification or maintenance. You know, if there was something that they were like, oh, we forgot something in requirements, they would have to scrap the entire process and go right back up to the start again and start it all over again. So this could take time because there's different teams at work for each one of these sometimes, you know, trying to handle all this. So, um, you know, um, in some cases, like in the large businesses, for example, you know, they typically had like, you know, different teams to handle each one of these steps because, you know, the programmers here might not under, you know, might not understand or um, they might be looking at the requirements, you know, people and going, "What the heck are you saying?" You know, or you know, vice versa. You know, the people in the requirements might be like going, "I don't know how to code." So, um, so that's why I mean, you know, by like different teams. You know, the business people are up here in the requirements going, "Hey, we need this, we need this. You know, we need you to do that." Um, you know, that gets, you know, written down by someone who takes it into the design crew and then they start trying to build it, right? Um, you know, then it goes to the implementation where they take all the information from the requirements and the design and they actually start building it, coding it up. Um, you know, writing it up in code to make sure that everything works how they want it to work. You know, testing while they go, you know, making sure that it's all um, you know, it you know tries you know obviously they don't necessarily they're not coding it up. You know, um, you know, it's very difficult to have someone um, you know code up something you know from start to finish and have no bugs in it whatsoever. So um, so the implementation is, you know, them coding everything from the requirements and design and, you know, trying to make sure that everything works accordingly. Uh, very, thank you for the follow. I hope I spelled that right, pronounced that right. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Um, so, um, after implementation, then they go into the verification. Does the program work, you know, how the requirements is, you know, that, you know, does the program work the way that the requirements are all about? So, um, confirm your Terraria video on YouTube. Ah, nice. Welcome. Welcome. Um, yeah, just doing a little bit of coding on the side right at the moment, or studying Pega right now, so pretty technical. So if that's something that interests you, then awesome. Haven't touched Terraria in a while, so um, but I am trying to help out Blackheart with his Terraria, so you might want to check out his channel too. I think I forget exactly when his Terraria streams are, but he should have a schedule up. So okay, sorry. Moving on. So after the verification, you know, trying to check to see, you know, if the requirements are working the way they want it, then if everything works, you know, if it matches, if the business people are looking at the verification and going, yep, that's what we want, then it just goes into the maintenance, which is basically, hey, just making sure that, um, they correct any like future bugs later, or um, they release it to the public, and there might be some compatibility issues with another computer or something like that, so they just try to maintain the code, you know, trying to update it a little bit here and there, creating different versions, but for the most part, the the application itself is done. Okay. If if they find out in the verification that it does not match with their requirements whatsoever, then once again, they have to scrap the entire thing. Okay. And they have to go right back up to scratch again. Okay. That's why, while it might have been something that they were trying to do, you know, back in the day, it doesn't really work out, nowadays. It's not it's not the best method. Now, um, you can do this in smaller snippets. Like, you break a large program down into smaller sections that you can do, this waterfall method, because in a sense, the waterfall method is still usable in like small portions. But you need to kind of repeat it over and over and over again. And that's kind of what agile is all about. You know, it's basically taking the waterfall method, and this website doesn't really, um, okay, maybe there's another page for it. Okay, well, that visual is not there. Oh well. So basically, agile is basically taking, they get obviously they look at, what kind of program they would want to build and the requirements, what they want to kind of do with the requirements. But instead of um, saying, okay, we got all the requirements that we want and move on to design and we don't go back. Well, here's the thing. Um, you're using the waterfall method, but you're having kind of arrows that can go back. Like, design has an arrow going back up to requirements. You have an implementation arrow going back up to requirements, verification going back up to requirements, and it keeps on looping. So like if they find out that there's like something wrong in the design, they go back to requirements, put that in, go back to design. You know, so it's very, it flows a little bit better because, um, they're not having to scrap the entire program just to get a new requirement in. So that's what, uh, Agile is supposed to do. It's supposed to, allow kind of the waterfall method, but allow for more, um, they allow for redesign in middle of the process kind of thing. So, like if they're doing an implementation and they missed something in the requirements, they look back at, can we put that into our program? Sure. Okay. How are we going to do that? We go to design, put that particular requirement in. We come right back down to implementation, use what was put into the design, and we move on. And then they go on to the verification afterwards. So it's meant to, um, they're not restricted by how they handle their application. Okay. So in a in a um, in a broad sense, it is the waterfall method, but in when you focus right on down to it, they're basically taking the waterfall method in small chunks through the process of the application. They're basically saying, okay, we're doing this section with the waterfall method, we're doing this section with the waterfall method, and so on and so forth to build the full-on application. You know, um, you look at you know games, applications. You look how, yeah, um, one of the, one example that I like to kind of point out is like, um, because you can kind of see it as it progresses through. Um, you look back on the old videos of like Markiplier and Jacksepticeye doing Subnautica gameplay videos. Okay, their very first Subnautica videos, you can see, you know, um, the, the beginning stages of the process of that, so that, um, you see the development, you see the changes that happens over time. That's the agile. They look to see, does this work? If it does, great. We'll keep on using that. We'll keep on building off of that. Um, if it if it doesn't work, or if there's something wrong with it, then they go back to the requirements. They figure out, how are they going to change it. So, um, do you like Rust language? Not quite sure I'm following that. Um, I know of Rust the game. I don't know if I'm not quite sure about the Rust language. I don't think if that's a programming language, I'm not familiar with it. So, um, but, um, you can kind of see the progress of the development of the game. Now, um, if you look back at the development studio, I believe um, they showed development of the game itself over time. Um, their very first like Subnautica videos that they did, and you can kind of see, where it started out at, and their progress through that. Um, that's more of the agile, so that you have more of the, they're you know trying to go through the requirements, design, implementation, verification, maintenance, and they're going right back up to requirements, seeing if it works how they kind of want it to work. They keep on changing it up. Does this work? Yes, great, we'll use that. Um, like originally, they were trying to play around in Subnautica about allowing for um, modifying the landscape, in Subnautica, for example. And the problem was that that modification of the landscape there was basically breaking everything else. Um, so they had to take it out, you know. So, in the very beginning, they had the, the landscape, modifying the landscape, trying to, um, they wanted to give you the opportunity to really design, the, uh, if you know, base building, they really wanted you to kind of, be able to modify the landscape even with the base as well. But, you know, um, there was a lot of like, clipping and breaking and, just a lot of bugs along with that. So, they eventually just took it out. Like, what happens, if you remove some land and there are like water physics doesn't fill in that, removal land. Like you have this space of, you know, physics of air underwater. You get what I'm saying? So they needed to work on that to kind of fix that. So that's an overview of the, waterfall and agile uh, ideas there. So support for the agile development. App Studio supports agile development best practices, plan and implement the capabilities for your application. Users can quickly build off a business case by developing and working outline of the process to be performed in a Pega platform application. App Studio also supports a real-time UI design as you process the work. For example, a team that is testing the end user interface of an online shopping application can add new fields and make changes to user controls such as drop-down lists. This ability is helpful for reviews with stakeholders who can see their suggested feedback implemented in real time. Instead of naming items in App Studio as App 1, Process 2, Field 3, or Step 5 as a best practice, use business-friendly names such as Feedback App, Sales Process, or Send Email. When building your application in App Studio, rules are auto-generated in the background with these same names. It is easier to find a rule by name when business-friendly names are used. So, um, so they're basically saying, hey, if I tell someone randomly, hey, you need to look into app one, they're gonna be like looking at you and going, what are you talking about? Or, I go to a business person and I say, yeah, we're having a problem with process two. They're gonna be like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. You're speaking a foreign language to me. But if I go to them and say, hey, we're having a problem with our sales process, we're gonna need to modify that a little bit. They're gonna be like, oh, okay, well, let's look into it. You know, so that's why they're saying, hey, instead of naming something, our process to, use business name, naming conventions. So, all right. Application profile. The application profile captures and presents user stories, bugs, and feedback items to support agile development best practices. This collection supports collaboration across technical and business members of the team. For example, you can create a feature to support requests for new training modules in your application. Your team can then map development tasks, such as defining a data table of available courses, to this feature by creating stories and other work items. Features support traceability from objectives to development tasks to implementation, keeping all collaborators informed. So, um, so yeah, there, the application profile there in the overview, you know, um, is just kind of keeping track of everything, the user stories, bugs, and feedback items. Um, so that the overview itself is going to be full of useful information for the business side of things. So modular application design. Pega platform applications comprise instructions called rules. Again, remember that one. That's going to be key. That govern application behavior, just as the rules of chess govern the behavior of various pieces. The rules that make up an application are organized into layers for reuse between applications. For example, your company may have several applications that share common branding. Once you create the look and feel of your application at the organization or framework layer, you can reuse it for each new application that you build. So, um, take for example, um, whenever you start up an application, sometimes they'll have like the logo appear, right? Or say, oh hell, let's go with Blizzard, right? Blizzard application, their logo shows up every time, for every game. Blizzard Entertainment. Okay, they didn't really change that too often. They kind of kept with the same logo because it worked, right? Why change? Uh, why change it if it's working the way they want it to, right? So they kept on reusing it over and over and over again. Okay, that's the same with the rules here. Okay, there might be a behavior such as displaying the same logo that they want to reuse. So they take that rule and they put it in each of the applications or games or so on and so forth. So it does the exact same thing each time. Okay. Now, later on, you may want to change it, you know, change things up a little bit, redesign the logo or something along those lines. So you may need to modify the rule in a newer version later, and that's perfectly fine. Um, but the rule can be moved from one application to another. You can reuse it. So um, application layers. Layers and the rules within them are reusable. Each layer represents a unique application and is built on one or more layers, except for the Pega platform layer, which includes rules for the Pega platform itself. Pega rules. So um, there's always going to be like that foundation layer. Okay, that's the Pega rules. Okay, that's how Pega operates. If you start messing around with that Pega rules layer, you could potentially bring down the entire application because it might not understand how to handle, your change, you know, because there might be some amount of functionality that is used by something else, some other Pega rule that, uses that, you know, Pega Rule 1 is using Pega Rule 2. If you change Pega Rule 2, Pega Rule 1 is going to be like, I don't understand what you're doing. So, um, and therefore, it might not work anymore afterwards. Okay. So that's why, you need to be, um, you should not be messing with the Pega platform layer at all, really. Okay. Um, you can always say, you can always like maybe contact the developers of Pega and tell them, hey, this isn't working how we want it to work. Could you give us, something else in the Pega platform to handle this? And that's great, awesome. Um, but don't try to do it yourself because, um, uh, well, I mean, you might know the best method of trying to work with that, but um, but if they do like an update to Pega, for example, like they might need to do a software update. What happens then? That kind of thing. So, believe me, I know that there are some very, very intelligent programmers out there. And, I'm not going to say that, everybody on Pega is extremely smart. Um, there might be some better programmers out there that are outside of Pega. That's perfect. You know. Um, so, um, but at the same time, um, you have to kind of work. with them to get what you need done. Otherwise, you're just gonna cause a lot of problems. So, um, it is better to create a layer on top of the Pega platform layer. Okay, you know, create a layer, that that you know, use the application layers to its purpose. You know, um, if one particular rule in Pega isn't working out the way you want it to, then create your own rule that builds off of it. That kind of thing. This modular approach to application design reduces development time and improves application quality and maintenance, even for complex applications. For example, each layer can be maintained by a dedicated development team and updated on its own schedule based on business needs. The App Studio overview displays an application layers widget which provides a visual representation of the rules that make up your application. Hovering your pointer over a layer title or graphic highlights the rules that the layer contributes to the application. So, as you can see here, they have the Pega platform as, the base, you know, um, then you have the CE base, you know, um, basically the application base for that they can kind of reuse over and over and over again. Um, for the for like your company, wants to reuse code over and over and over again. So they have basically, the CE base, for example, that, they have code that, you know, they have their engine that they hardly ever change, for example. They put that in like right above the Pega platform so that it gets reused over and over and over. Okay. And then they build off of that, Cosmos rules, and then they build off of that HR framework, and then they build off of that, HR apps. So the application layers widget presents a high-level summary of the contents of your application layers, not a complete inventory of your application. Yeah, so it's not showing all the rules contained in those layers, but it's showing, the um, they not necessarily rule sets, but it's um, they're basically saying, hey, this is um, what's kind of containing a good majority of rules, you know. So think of it um, like ground layers. Like if you go to say like the Grand Canyon, for example, and you look through, um, you look at the side of, the canyon kind of thing, you can see, different soil layers as go from the base all the way up to ground level, right? So same kind of concept. Each layer has its own um, portion, over time kind of thing. So same kind of visual representation, um, you know, in a sense, I guess. I'm trying to explain it, but obviously it's not really coming out very well on that. Um, hopefully I'm I'm making it make sense. um, you know, like we know that um, say like, the different age of dinosaurs, you know, are on different layers, of soil. So soil covers it up, you know. It covers up that particular era of dinosaurs, for example, and you progress to the next layer. That's a new age of dinosaurs. You get what I'm saying. Um, similar, similar kind of thing here. So, checking your knowledge with the following interaction. Drag the words into the correct boxes. Um, Blank supports agile methodology, providing the blank workspace for low-code application development. So, I have to drag, both, one of these to those locations. Is it App Studio here and Pega Platform there, or is it Pega Platform here and App Studio there? So, you guys figure that out. Um, so, um, thing is that I'm looking at this and it feels as though both can be kind of in the same spot, you know, because Pega Platform supports agile methodology and App Studio supports agile methodology. So providing the Pega Platform workspace, probably not that. Um, the App Studio workspace for low code application development. So what I'm what I'm thinking of personally is this. Let's see if I'm actually right. I'm right. Okay. Because Pega platform itself, you know, um, isn't well, I mean, isn't necessarily a workspace per se. I mean, it provides workspaces, but let's go on back and see if we can redo that quiz and see if we can um, let me put Pega platform workspace over here in App Studio because it likes to show. Sometimes it says why, so it doesn't. Yeah. Oh well. It would have been nice if they explained it. Sometimes they do. Obviously, this time they didn't. So, um, okay, Pega platform, come on, get in there. There we go. So, we are done with the App Studio topic. We are going to go on to the module quiz. Now, obviously, um, you know, it's best if you go through it yourself. Um, like maybe pause if you're like watching this on YouTube or something like that. Go ahead and pause it here. Take the test and see. Well, I might get some answers wrong myself, so I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna be perfect at it either. But take the test yourself, see how well you do. Look at the answers, go back through the topics if necessary um, to find out what you might have missed, and try retaking the test. So, okay, so um, drag the development approach from the bottom to align with the correct description box on the left. So we have traditional development and Pega low code development here. Um, Now I've seen this before. I believe there's like maybe only like one topic here that falls under the traditional development, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll go one by one through here and see. Build a mobile and web-based request system with notifications for collaboration and an SLA tracking to ensure that work is done on time. That Pega low code development has that. Collaborate with stakeholders in a common visual language, allowing you to focus on business logic. That Pega low code development has that. Use omni-channel development capabilities to unify development activities for all required channels. For all required channels. Um, that I believe is Pega low code, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Let me move on here. Create an application with a one-size-fits-all approach where large teams of developers build proprietary solutions. Um, I think that's actually the traditional development. Um, I believe that goes there. Build integrations to external systems to obtain data and graphically map that data to your application for a holistic view. I believe that's the Pega low code development. I believe this, and we still have the Pega low code development in the omnichannel development capabilities. I believe that's the case. Um, you can click on the feedback here to see, hey, did you actually get it right? So, and I did. So, um, I don't know if the feedback provides like reasoning behind if you did get something wrong on it, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, if I get a wrong answer, and then I'll know. All right, moving on to the next question. Drag the studio name from the bottom of the Pega platform description with which it aligns. Technical, administration, background processing, and monitoring. Well, that to me sounds like admin studio, just for the administration and monitoring. But, it might not be. We'll hold, I'm putting it there for now. There might be a better spot for admin studio, but everything is leading me to admin studio there. Applications build powered by built-in decisions and AI. AI is a key term that should automatically tell you use Prediction Studio off the top, you know. So, just bear that in mind. A low code, no code application development. That's the App Studio. And the advanced application configuration beyond App Studio, that's the Dev Studio. So that should be all right. Yep. And we're moving on. What is the benefit of Pega Platform low code development? Pega Platform low code development tools create the code for you. Yes. Pega Platform makes low code development easy for very simple applications only. That's incorrect. Um, you can use you can can build fairly complex applications. So it's not very simple applications only. So the Pega Platform user interface allows only low-code users to build applications. That's incorrect. Um, you can have, many different people working, you know, um, to build applications. I mean, you have App Studio, Dev Studio, Prediction Studio, and Admin Studio all working together to handle one particular application. So this isn't correct. And each one of those studios has different, you know, job types that work with that studio. So it's not just low code users. Pega Platform low code development increases both productivity and IT involvement. Um, if I'm not mistaken, that is incorrect. while it increases productivity, it's meant to reduce IT involvement, if I'm not mistaken. So, so this one right here, I believe, is the answer. Yeah. Um, I made a mistake one time of selecting this one because, I figured, hey, it allows for, um, more interaction between the teams. Like the you have people in business talking with the programmers together into the Pega platform, and everybody's happy. You have more involvement overall. But no, they're trying to build it so um, you know the you don't need thousands upon thousands of programmers to get an application out. Okay. Or at least depending on the application. So, um, so that's their kind of philosophy on that. So finish that and saving the result. And yay, I passed. Woohoo! Now I could retry, and I can, you know, like here. Let me retry real quick, and let me see if um let me kind of throw um the wrong answers in here, and let's see. Okay, they don't show why um those are wrong. So you know they don't provide any feedback for that, which is unfortunate. So this one does, you know. Um, so I mean that's nice. I like the fact that they have that. I do kind of wish that the first two questions had this same style of explanation as to why it's wrong. So, and we don't want to submit. So we're gonna just kind of go ahead and continue the message, continue the mission there. Um, did it? Oh wait, hold on. Let me go back here real quick. I want to see if it counted it as completed or not. Yeah, there it is. So whenever you complete a module, it'll come up here and it'll show you that, hey, you're done with it, you know. So if I was to go to, you know, like I'm looking at the system architect, mission here. Um, it's gonna show that, hey, I completed, something. So they're basically saying, hey, you have, some amount of time remaining. You completed a little bit of it, 5% complete. Awesome. 5% complete, you know. So it saves, what you've done. Now, if I was to go to my dashboard, I have I have the business architect, um, also on my list as well. You can also see that, hey, same thing, 5% complete. Okay. It also tracks, you know, you completed that module. So, not only does it track on the system architect, but it tracks on the business architect. So you don't need to, you know, um, you don't need to redo the study based on the mission. You know, not to say that, maybe you want the study time, like maybe you want to take the time to study the modules over and over again, in system architect, in business architect, try to do it twice in a row. But, they're saying, hey, you don't need to do that. Okay, it's already been done. You studied it once already. We're keeping track of the fact that you're done studying it. So so you don't need to redo it based on, the different types of missions that you take. So um and this is just, one example. If I bring in some other missions that have that same module, it's also gonna count as well. Um let's see. Let me see if I can do that. Let's see. Uh, I don't see any. Where can I see all the missions? Nope, that's not what I want. Never mind. Yeah, shows the completed training. That's fine. I want to be able to see um, the different missions here. Let's see. Actually, hold on. Let me do it this way. We'll view the certifications. Um, we did the Pega Systems Architect. Let's look at the Senior Systems Architect mission here, right? Something that um, I may need to do later. Um, okay. Nope, it's not here. Otherwise, we'd be seeing like a 5% complete or something along those lines there. So that one doesn't have it. Let's see, data scientist. Nope, nothing there. Doesn't look like there's anything here. So yeah, okay. Well, I tried to see if there was something, some other certifications or whatnot that referenced that particular module, but it looks like it's just the system architect and business architect that really uses it. So, you know, obviously if I look on the, and the market or, and the, um, in say the modules, you know, I'll see the fact that, hey, I did complete it, so I don't necessarily need to worry about it anymore, but still. All right, but that's going to be it for this particular session of Pega. We're going to go ahead and close on out. I know that I've been kind of running a little behind today, so apologies on that. But tomorrow for a system architect, certification training, we are going to be moving on to the next portion of the low-code app builder. We're going to be looking at the next mission there, or the next module to study, which is defining a customer microjourney. So they have 5 topics, 50 minutes. So it'll probably be another, like, 2 or 3 sessions. Um, so then after that, we're going to be doing the designing the case life cycle. I'll see what I can do about trying to keep this all in one particular video on YouTube. So keep that in mind. This is going to be like, bare bones. Um, I'm hoping that we won't have too much difficulty trying to work getting a instance of Pega up so that we can run this. Hopefully that works out okay. We'll see. Um, but yeah, that's going to be it for this video of Pega. Let me go ahead and go webcam here. Um, more videos to come. So, uh, so uh, if you're catching this, like, if you're catching this particular part, you know, there's going to be more parts to this, on my Pega playlist. Um, so go ahead and check that out, and then we will, you know, my plan is to go through this entire system architect to get that certification. That's my aim. I hope others will join me in that. If you want that certification as well, sign up. Try filling, getting those certifications. Like I said, business. If you're not really a programmer, you can try to do the business analyst to take care of that. Um, if you have a programming background, if you're a computer scientist, then try for the system architect. So, there's no cost in the academy, but there is cost in the certification test. So, um, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 175 bucks per per attempt. So, um, um, and I mean, most likely, I don't think there's any, like, hey, your certification expires or anything along those lines. It's basically going to say, like, hey, you've been certified for this particular Pega version, most likely. Like, hey, this person's been certified for Pega 8.7. That's great. If you're trying to get a job, and they're already on like Pega 10, then they're going to be like, mm, do we really want, someone that hasn't updated their certification? So, bear that in mind. Um, you may need to update your certification, you know, as you move along there. So just bear that in mind. I'm not saying that that's the case, but um, I've seen that happen with other certifications. Okay, they want you to try to keep, up to date with the current technology. Um, so while some things might seem like, hey, it's never going to change, or it's hardly ever going to change, one might think. Um, that's not always the case for every single certification, so bear that in mind. Okay, let me go ahead and stop the recording for the YouTube video.